A review of mineral formation. There are several primary ways that minerals form, but they all have a common theme. Okay, the big idea you have to kind of remember when you talk about mineral formation is the idea that minerals start as individual elements, or those elements are actually in their ion form. So they have a positive or negative charge. And given time and space, those ions, they will attract. Okay, opposites attract, positive to a negative, and when they form, when they create bonds, they form a small mineral crystal. Okay, so that's kind of our primary theme through a lot of these formations. Okay, the first one being the crystallization of minerals in magma. Okay, magma is just a big element stew, a bunch of elements and ions floating around, and as that magma cools, the temperature drops, and that temperature, the heat, is what was keeping the ions apart. So as the temperature decreases, those ions are allowed to produce bonds, and again, each one of those bonds, when that happens, that produces a mineral crystal. Okay, so minerals can form from magma. The other one is precipitation. Okay, not like raining, but to precipitate from a liquid. Okay, and we also sometimes call this a sedimentary environment. This is just like if you have a glass of salt water that you leave on the counter for a couple weeks. All the water evaporates, but these ions, like sodium and chlorine, positive and negative, they do not evaporate into the air. Okay, as the water is removed, it allows these ions to get closer together to produce bonds, and as soon as they become bonded, they produce a solid. Okay, and that process of forming those bonds and producing a solid in a liquid is called precipitation. It's a chemistry term in this case, to precipitate out of water. Okay, we're going to skip to the fourth one here, hydrothermal solution, because this is the same idea as our ions bonding. All right, so in this case we have hot water, and again that hot water separates ions, it dissolves out minerals, and when this water reaches the surface, like in our picture here of Old Faithful, it rapidly cools. When that cooling occurs, it allows the ions to produce bonds, producing a solid. Okay, our common theme. The last one here, pressure and temperature. Okay, this is when you already start with a formed mineral. You have a mineral already. But if you add some heat, if you add some pressure, in the presence of kind of some extra spare elements, you can actually change the composition of the mineral, you can change the chemical formula, and every time you change the chemical formula, you end up with a new mineral. Okay, so this is mineral formation. If you have any questions, please make sure to ask.